Once upon a time, in a peaceful and beautiful city called Ogwashi, there lived a man named Aken. Aken was a tall, fair-skinned, and handsome man. He had a sharp face and a charming smile that could melt any woman's heart. But the thing that made people respect him most was his wealth. Aken was very rich. He owned lands, houses, cars, and many shops in the city. People called him Chief Aken, not because he was a village chief, but because he had money and power. Whenever he drove his big black SUV through the streets, children would run after his car shouting, "Chief! Chief! Chief Aken, throw us money oh!" And sometimes, Aken would wind down his glass and throw naira notes at them. "Share it well oh, don't fight," he would laugh as the children scrambled to pick the notes. But behind every successful man, there's a woman who stood by him when he was nobody. That woman was Amora. Amora was a tall, beautiful, fair-skinned woman with soft hair and kind eyes. She was not just beautiful on the outside, but also had a very good heart. She was hard-working and fearless. Amora used to sell clothes in the city market. She wasn't rich, but she was content and happy. Now, let me tell you, before Aken became this rich, he was just an ordinary young man. In fact, there was a time he didn't even have money to buy slippers. His shoes were so bad that one could see his toes poking out. He was struggling. But through those hard times, Amora stood by him. She loved him. Every time she made little money from selling clothes, she would give some to Aken. "Here, my love. Take this. Use it to feed yourself and plan your business." People used to laugh at Amora then. The other market women would gather in a corner and gossip. See Amora. She's busy wasting her hard-earned money on a man that might marry another woman tomorrow, one would say. That girl no get sense. She don day act like wife to man we never pay bride price, another would add. But Amora didn't care. She loved Aken with her whole heart. After 3 years of dating, one beautiful evening, Aken surprised Amora. He knelt down in front of her family, holding a silver ring, and said, "Amora, you are the woman of my life. You have suffered with me, stood by me when I had nothing. Please marry me and be my wife." Amora burst into tears of joy. Her mother clapped her hands and shouted, "Chinik, this is the day I've been praying for." Amora quickly said, "Yes, yes, Aken, I will marry you." Everyone clapped and danced. The whole street was filled with joy. Their wedding was one of the biggest in the city. There was so much food and drink that people packed takeaway bowls home. The DJ played good music. Old women danced and sprayed money on the couple. Young girls admired Amora's white gown and dreamt of their own wedding day. After the wedding, Aken said to Amora, "My love, you've hustled enough. From now on, stop working in the market. I will take care of you." At first, Amora refused. "But my shop is my life," she said. "No, Amora. A woman should rest." "I will give you whatever you want," Aken insisted. Finally, Amora agreed because she trusted him. She packed her clothes, left the market, and stayed at home. A year later, Amora gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. They named him Samuel. The child had his mother's beautiful skin and his father's eyes. The naming ceremony was big. Neighbors came with gifts. The child was so handsome that people joked he would break hearts in future. But not long after, something started to change. Aken began to come home late. He started avoiding his wife. If she cooked, he would complain. "What kind of tasteless soup is this? Can't you cook better?" Amora would quietly clean the table and cry in the kitchen. She noticed that Aken no longer touched her or admired her like before. One evening, Aken didn't come home. By midnight, Amora was pacing up and down. She called his phone but it was switched off. She waited till morning. When Aken finally returned, he smelled of strong perfume and alcohol. "Where were you?" "I was worried," Amora asked softly. "Don't question me." Aken barked, pushing her aside and walking into the bedroom. Amora burst into tears. Neighbors noticed. Some women started gossiping again. Our chief has changed. Oh. I saw him with one small fine girl yesterday at the club," one woman said. "Which one?" "That fair girl with big bum." "That's Nenah," another replied. "Yes, Nenah. That was her name. A beautiful, young girl with smooth dark skin and wicked eyes. Nenah was very greedy and loved rich men. The moment she saw Aken, she hooked him like fish. "Chief, you are so handsome. I wish you were mine," she would whisper. Aken fell for her. He started buying her expensive clothes, phones, and even a car. He would spend weekends at her house, leaving Amora alone with the baby. Amora was devastated. "What did I do wrong? Is it a crime to love my husband?" She would cry every night. One evening, she begged Aken, "My husband, remember how we started. Remember when you had nothing. Please don't abandon me and our son." But Aken shouted, "Look at yourself. Big waist, fallen breast, fat everywhere. You disgust me." He slammed the door and left. Amora wept bitterly. She couldn't tell her mother because she didn't want to shame the family. She suffered silently. 2 years later, Amora discovered she was pregnant again. Fear gripped her heart. She didn't know how to tell Aken. When she finally did, Aken was furious. "Pregnant? Are you mad? I told you to stop giving birth." "It's your child, Aken," Amora said with tears. Without a word, Aken stormed to Nenah's house. "She's pregnant again," he announced. Nenah shouted, "What? That useless woman. I told you to be careful. Now she will use that child to tie you down." "Calm down, baby. After this one, I'll divorce her and marry you," Aken promised. Nenah pretended to calm down, but inside, she was planning evil. "Baby, you have to will your property to someone you trust. That woman might claim half if you divorce her," Nenah suggested. "Good idea," Aken agreed. He called his lawyer and arranged to write his will in Nenah's favor. But the lawyer had to travel and promised to finish when he returned. Aken lied to Nenah. "Baby, it's done," he said. Nenah danced around. "I love you, baby." Then one Sunday, Nenah told Aken, "Go home today. Visit your wife and child so people won't talk." Aken agreed. Nenah packed food for him. "Eat it when you get home," she said, smiling like an angel. But before I continue with the story, I want to thank all my wonderful subscribers and viewers for your love and support. If this is your first time here, or you've been watching without subscribing, please hit that subscribe button and join the family. We would love to have you. Thank you once again. Now, let's continue with the story. After that unforgettable Sunday morning when Aken carried the food flask Nenah gave him, everything changed. The air felt heavy. The house felt too quiet. Even the birds that usually sang by the window seemed to keep silent, as if they knew something terrible was about to happen. When Aken entered the house, Samuel was lying on the old, soft couch, sweating and breathing heavily. His small face looked weak, and his lips were dry. "Samuel!" Aken called in shock. The boy opened his eyes slowly and whispered, "Papa." I want water." Aken, filled with guilt, rushed to get water for his son. As Samuel drank, Aken's heart beat faster. He knew he had neglected his family. For over a year, he had spent weekends with Nenah, forgetting about his wife, Amora, and his precious little boy. He felt something break inside him. Without wasting time, Aken carried Samuel to the hospital. His influence made the doctors and nurses act quickly. Samuel was placed on a drip, and within a few hours, the boy started to regain strength. "Thank you, doctor," Aken said, squeezing the doctor's hand. "No problem, Chief. But next time, please, take care of your family," the doctor said sharply, leaving Aken feeling ashamed. When they returned home in the evening, the house was too silent. No sounds of Amora's cooking, no smell of her delicious soups, no music from the small radio she usually kept in the kitchen. Something was wrong. Aken's eyes scanned the living room, and then he saw her. Amora was lying on the floor, her hair scattered, her eyes half closed, a half-eaten plate of food beside her. "Amora!" Aken screamed, dropping his phone as he rushed to her. He shook her, but she was cold and unresponsive. He saw the food. It was the same rice and stew Nenah had packed for him in the food flask. His hands began to tremble. His throat became dry. "No, no, it can't be, not you, Amora," he cried. He carried her lifeless body to the car and drove like a madman to the hospital. He ran inside, screaming for help. The doctors tried their best. But after some minutes, one of them came out with a sad face. "I'm sorry, sir. She's gone." Aken fell on his knees, screaming and crying like a child. "I killed my wife. I killed Amora. God, forgive me." Later that evening, the autopsy report came out. The cause of death: food poisoning. Aken sat in his car, sweating and shaking. He knew who did it: Nenah. She wanted him dead so she could take over everything. That same food was meant for him. He took his phone, dialed the police and gave them everything. The story, the messages, even the remaining food sample. Nenah was arrested that night while she was in her apartment painting her nails and laughing over a movie. When the police arrived, she screamed, "What is this nonsense? Don't you know who I am?" But it was over. At the trial, the evidence was clear. The court sentenced Nenah to 50 years in prison for attempted murder and conspiracy. As the judge slammed the gavel, Nenah cried and shouted, "Aken, you betrayed me." But it was too late. Greed had finished her. Weeks passed. Aken's house became lonely. Samuel cried often, asking for his mother. Aken became a shadow of himself. One rainy evening, as Aken returned from work, he opened the door, and there, sitting on the sofa in the living room, was Amora. Her skin glowed. She was wearing a white wrapper, her face calm. "Amora," Aken whispered, his body frozen. His heart pounded so hard it felt like it would break his ribs. He thought it was her ghost. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Don't haunt me, I beg you." Aken cried, falling to the floor. Before anyone could stop it, Aken's heart gave out, and he collapsed, dead. Yes, Amora survived the poisoning. The doctor had secretly helped her recover, as she suspected Aken wanted her dead. They kept it secret, waiting for the right time. Unfortunately, the poison took her pregnancy, but she and Samuel survived. That evening, Amora had returned home to start a new life. She wept beside Aken's body. "I loved you, even when you hurt me. But greed, lies, and betrayal destroyed you." She carried her son, Samuel, who was now her only joy. The house, The properties, the business, everything was now hers. But more than wealth, she had her freedom, peace, and the chance to raise her son in a home without fear. Years passed. Amora turned the company into a charity organization that helped widows and single mothers. Samuel grew up into a fine young man, and people always whispered about his mother's strength and courage. They would say, "Amora, that woman's strong past lion." Villagers would gather to hear the story of how a man's greed led to his downfall, and how a woman's strength saved her life and gave her a new future. Amora never remarried. She said, "I have my son. I have my peace. I have my life." And she was happy. A wise question for you. If you were Amora, would you have forgiven Aken if he survived? Or would you leave him to suffer for his betrayal? Moral lesson. This story teaches us that greed, betrayal, and selfishness bring destruction. When you mistreat those who love you, thinking you have better options, you might lose everything. And no matter how long it takes, the truth always comes out. Also, it reminds us of the strength of a woman's heart. It can carry love, pain, and forgiveness, but it should never be taken for granted. The end.